providing actual value versus perceived value. Um, this is a video I've thought about a lot. It's something I want to talk about, but at the same time, it's one of those topics where I recognize I have to be very careful about what I say and how I say it in order for me to continue to align with my own values. It would be very easy for me to join the YouTube community and do reaction videos where I criticize other people. Oh, look at what the Liver King is doing. But instead, I prefer to say, hey, Liver King, that's cool, man. Those tenets, those things that you promote are really awesome. In fact, actually, personally, I like the Liver King, and maybe I'll do a video about that later. I think that it's a great message. Whether or not you think he's on steroids, I couldn't possibly care less, because in today's social media, everyone's on steroids. Oh, I think this guy's on steroids. I think that guy's on steroids. I've gotten to the point where I just don't even care anymore. I don't care if Mike O'Hearn is on steroids or not. I don't. I don't care if Kinobody or whoever, Liver King, whatever. It just doesn't make a difference to me. Is the information that you provide good quality information? That matters to me more than whether or not someone's on steroids. That's how I feel. And maybe you feel differently. And if you feel differently, that's fine. But to me, I don't care if Louis Simmons uses steroids or not. Louis Simmons has really great information, so I listen. I shut up and I listen. I don't care if Stan Efferding used steroids or not. He has really good information. I care about the information. I don't care about whether or not someone has or has not used steroids. That being said, perceived value versus actual value, and that's one of the things that I think is unfortunate about the fitness community, fitness industry. This is a saturated market. You have people putting out programming and calling themselves coaches. I'm sorry, programming isn't coaching. You're a programmer. That's fine. Be a programmer. There's nothing wrong with being a programmer. I write tons of programs. In fact, I used to have a ton of free programs on my website. And it was one of those things where I realized I had 0 downloads. But yet people bought the programs that I charged money for, which made me realize something, that if you give things away for free, even if they're high quality, people assume that there's no value in it because you're not charging money for it. So I took all the free programs down. But I used to have, I don't even know how many. It was just a ton of free programs. But people don't want free, because people think that if it's free, then it's, I don't know, low quality or something. But they were all just programs that I had done myself, and I just decided to share them with other people. Anyways, we have a marketplace and a field, an industry, whatever you want to call it, where people sell sexy marketing, and that tends to be the thing that becomes successful. You look at the people who are at the top, and it's usually something that I would be critical of, but I try very hard to not be critical of things. But you look at some of these top programs, and I'm not going to name anyone, I'm just going to talk in very general terms here. A lot of these programs have tons of variation, they have tons of volume, they have all these, there's things about them that make them sexy, because it keeps people from having exercise ADHD, right? So you want new, you want varied, you want all this stuff like that. It has to be novel, right? And that gets people to buy it. If I wrote you a program where you did something different every single day, you would probably go for it. In fact, actually, I think that's the appeal of CrossFit. And I am not anti-CrossFit. I think CrossFit is great, actually. I want to be very, very clear. I think CrossFit is wonderful for the general fitness enthusiast. If all you're looking for is to exercise and be fit, CrossFit, you could not possibly do better, because you're just going to do different things all the time. Okay? That being said, constantly varied, that's not how sports work. There's no constant variation in football. There's no constant variation in hockey. There's no constant variation in baseball. There's no constant variation in track. Every time I run the 100 meters, it's 100 meters. It's not like it changes, and it's not like sometimes there's hurdles and sometimes there aren't. I know exactly what I'm preparing for. So like I don't need constantly varied. I don't need random programming. Powerlifting. Like I know that the meet is going to be squat, bench, and deadlift. Weightlifting. I know it's going to be snatch and clean and jerk. Like it's not like someone's going to throw a curveball in there and be like, oh, well this time for the Olympics, we're going to have people do a sandbag clean and jerk. That doesn't happen. And no one's ever going to ask you at a powerlifting meet, run 400 meters and then do a 20 rep max squat. No, it's a 1 rep max squat. That's all there is to it. So for people who aren't just looking for general fitness, it's really actually quite boring if you think about it. Like the best way for you to train whenever you're training for a specific goal is, it's boring. Let's say you want to go into judo. I like judo better than I like BJJ, but I know BJJ is more popular these days. So I'm going to talk about judo though. The majority of your sport-specific training, in fact all of your sport-specific training, is going to be doing judo. The gym is just there. Anything you do in the gym is GPP. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if it's sandbags. I don't care if you're doing pull-ups using a gi and holding onto the sleeve. It's still GPP. Like that's not sport-specific. Everything we do in the gym is GPP. And if it has a barbell, then it's definitely GPP because there's no barbells in judo. So what should you do? How should you program? And this is where I come back to the actual value versus perceived value. I'm going to talk about someone specifically here, but only because I'm saying something positive about them. Okay? I don't want to be that person who talks about people negatively. Chris Spieler was giving an interview where he talked about there was a games athlete who came to him, and he had this athlete do less volume, and this athlete kept getting stronger, and the athlete left because they wanted more volume. So they were making progress on less volume, but they wanted more volume, and so they left. They were accustomed to doing more volume. They believed that they needed to be doing more volume. And instead, Chris recognized that this person needs less volume, and less volume will get them to their goal faster. Okay. The perceived value that this person was looking for was to do something really hard so that they're tired afterwards. That's what they were looking for. And so people are willing to spend money on what they perceive to be valuable. Chris was providing actual value. He was making this person better. Okay? If you come to me, my goal is to get you to your goal. So if you tell me, I currently squat 315, I want to squat 365, the only metric I'm going to pay attention to is whether or not your squat is increasing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, are you entertained? Are you tired afterwards? I actually don't want you to be tired afterwards. Like if you are trying to build maximal strength and you're gasping for air and, we're tapping into glycogen and, we're training on the nerve and driving up your cortisol and all this stuff like that, that's not beneficial. That's not going to get us to maximal strength. What the hell are you doing? Why would we be doing, zone 3, zone 4 cardio? To maximize your back squat? So, what I'm getting at here is that people perceive value different from what the actual valuable things are. People want to feel like they did something. People want to feel tired. Why is it so satisfying for you to do some crazy circuit where you're exhausted at the end? Because you have a sense of, oh, I did something. I'm breathing heavy. I'm sweating. But if I had you come in and just work up to a heavy single, and strip 10, 20 pounds off, and then do 5 singles, that's 6 singles for the whole workout, and we call it a day, and I tell you, okay, go eat and sleep. That's going to be more effective for maximizing your strength than having you do some crazy circuit. And don't get me wrong, that crazy circuit could have a place too. Maybe you're an MMA fighter, and we're going to do 3-minute rounds of some circuit, okay? Because we're working on conditioning. This is just all context dependent. I'm talking specifically right now about strength. But in a different context, maybe we do need to do zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. The point that I'm trying to drive home, though, is that the things that truly are valuable, the things that have actual value, they're not sexy. So it's really hard to market them. Like, it's really hard for me to sell you a program where, guess what? Instead of training 7 days a week, twice a day, we're going to train 3 times a week, and we're going to do one lift and then a little bit of accessory work. So, Monday we're going to squat heavy, and then we're going to do some accessory work like some, split squats, and I don't know, maybe you have you're weak out of the hole, so we're going to do, some really deep work, maybe like a Cossack squat or something like that. Maybe we'll do, I don't know. I have to look at you and make a determination. So maybe we do some hip work, or maybe we do some good mornings, or whatever it is to try to correct your squat. Maybe you have unstable knees, so we actually do some calf work. Seated calf raises are great for stabilizing your knee. And then, that's the whole workout. We're not going to do squats and then pull-ups and then, I don't know, running 400-meter repeats, and like that doesn't get us closer to the goal. And then another workout, we're going to bench press, and you're a little weak on the lockout, so we're going to do some tricep work as your accessory work, and then we're going to deadlift, and oh man, your lockout's bad, so we're going to do rack pulls as your accessory work, and it's like that works, and we're going to do the same thing week after week after week after week after week, as long as you continue to progress. And that's boring. It's effective. You're going to make progress, you're going to get results. It's very hard to market and sell that because it's not sexy. And that's the problem. The problem is that the things that have actual value really aren't attractive. They're not sexy, they're not cool, they're not as easily marketable as, say, P90X or Insanity. People would rather do P90X and Insanity because it's all this variation, and I feel tired, and all this moving around, and sure. And that's very easy to market those things. It's very hard to market the things that have actual value. I mean, how hard is it to market the idea to people, eat meat and vegetables? Like, I don't have anything to sell you. Like, you're going to have to go to the grocery store and buy meat. You're going to have to go to the grocery store and buy vegetables. Meanwhile, if I ran a supplement company, hey, how'd you like to get steroid-like results? Get jacked. Buy my special creatine. Creatine, ethyl, mono, whatever the shit. Yeah. It's so good it should be banned. I happen to make this one form of creatine that's better than all the other forms of creatine. And I'm going to throw some beta-alanine in there so your face tingles, and I'm going to throw some caffeine in there so you feel buzz. Oh, wow, this creatine is really fucking powerful. Maybe I'll toss some niacin in so you get some flush in your face too, right? That's sexy. Look at the supplement industry. It's like a multi-billion-dollar industry because it's very easy, it's very sexy, it's very cool to market those things. It'd be very boring for me to tell you, hey, after your workout, eat some meat, have a chicken breast and some white rice. I don't have anything to sell you. You gotta go buy it at the grocery store. Post-workout, eat a high-protein, high-carb, low-fat meal so that, you replenish glycogen and provide yourself with at least 3 grams of leucine. That isn't sexy. It doesn't sell. But that's actual value. It's like I tell people all the time. You look at these guys that step on the stage for the Olympia. Dude, they're not taking all these supplements, especially at the end. Like, they're not drinking whey protein even, because whey protein doesn't fill you up. They're eating food. That's what they're doing, because if you're dieting and you're trying to cut calories, you're going to want to eat as much volume as you can. So, like, sit down and eat a bunch of vegetables and eat your chicken breast and stuff like that, because it's going to make you feel full. When you're on, quote, poverty macros and you're on very low calories, you want to eat voluminous foods that you feel full. And that's really what it comes down to. It's really no different when it comes to training. Really good training, the actual training that has value, it's very boring. It's very hard to market it. You have to find a special person who really truly wants to make results. You know, I mean, how many people will come in and do one lift a day? Only the very, very dedicated people that truly want the result. You know, I did one lift a day for a very long time. It's still my default program. You come in and you do nothing but squats for an hour. You come in and do nothing but snatches for an hour. You know, do nothing but cleans for an hour. Do nothing but overhead presses for an hour. It's a very boring thing to do, and yet it's effective. So it's a hard sell because people don't want to do it, and yet that's the secret to you getting results, is to do the really boring shit. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. It's no different than people that want to, you know, train for a marathon or whatever it is, and it's like you have to just keep doing really boring zone 1 cardio. Just one foot in front of the other, just running along, easy pace, and it's boring, but that's why it's effective. So that's basically what I wanted to communicate to you guys, is that a lot of the stuff that's out there that looks sexy and cool, it's the perceived value that is why it sells. You know, people perceive it as having value because, oh, it's super complicated and complex, it must be good. Meanwhile, the really simple thing that's really boring, that's the thing that has actual value. And that's really hard for people on the other end to sell that to you because, well, it doesn't look very cool.